allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we will call to order the October 7th, 2025 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows all trustees are present. Staff is all present except for Ally, who has been excused, and our attorney Ashley is also here. 4 agenda changes. Are there any? 5 consent agenda. A, September 18th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions or concerns, we will need a motion.
I just want to say that I corrected the pre-registered citizens was Craig Dreyer, not Craig Hyde. Okay, that's been corrected.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. 6 pre-registered citizens to be heard. Are there any?
No.
7 committee reports. A, Public Facilities Committee. Julie?
We're actually going to be discussing this a little bit later, so we can update during that discussion. There's not a lot of changes from the meeting, just the updates.
Okay. 8, unfinished business from previous meetings. There's none. 9, new business. A, discussion and possible action on Nash Street and Oak intersection.
This was asked to be on the future agenda for discussion. There was an additional document that was put out too, that was from 2022, which was their study of that intersection.
So, do we have control over that intersection, or does the county, or do we have to, but we can make requests of whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So, that 3-way stop, I drove through it. I was out of town for a week, and then I came back and I drove through it, and I forgot how that stupid intersection works, and I ended up, stopped. I was coming in from town on Nash, and where I didn't have to stop, and it was a car coming towards me from Grandview, and I ended up stopped there thinking, I was gonna turn left, and I'm stopped. So I just asked we put this on there. I think that intersection is still screwed up. I think originally, I didn't think of it when we debated, but I would have probably suggested that we make it a 2-way stop, so it's a more normal intersection. I thinking about that throughout the week, I'm like, I think that would cause more problems right now. I wasn't in favor of making it a 4-way stop when we did it, but my opinion on that has changed. I would suggest that we look at that and, think about making that just a 4-way stop, so that way it's an understandable intersection for people that don't live here, and even people that do live here. And it's just confusing. It's confusing for someone coming into town. If I didn't live here and I was coming into town off of Grandview, and I was gonna go straight, and the person coming towards me was going left, I would assume that they're gonna stop, and I would probably go right in front of them.
Yeah,
So,
it's awful.
It is.
It is. And I looked at like the long-term recommendations, which we looked back in when we had this done, and the long-term is to make it an all-way stop. The one thing that is we would have to change is the location of the crosswalk. Between Oak and going, like between Oak and like southerly on Nash.
Yeah.
That crosswalk would be, because to put the stop sign way back where that crosswalk is.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
That's the reason.
Yeah, there were
That
3
was-
recommendations. One is that we make it a 4-way stop. One is that we get rid of that extra lane, which makes the visibility more difficult when you're turning. And then the other was that in the long-term scenario that we straighten out or fix that intersection to make it more traditional. But I think at this time, it would be my recommendation that we make it a 4-way stop, or that we ask the county to, because I just don't, I don't like it. Even I know it. I lived there my whole life, and I don't like it. Well, most of my life anyway.
Chief.
Yeah, I talked with the officers about this as well, and Todd at the district, just because this is in such close proximity to the school. You know, I will just give you some data just from that report from the county. It looks like we average 2 to 3 accidents a year, typically not injury accidents. It's a slow speed intersection. But what I'm hearing from everyone is to make it a 4-way stop. I think there's been discussions in the past of, you know, if you're going, and they call it, I think, eastbound in their report, but I would consider it northbound on M or Nash, where you don't have any control. I would say you put stop signs on both sides there. I think you're going to have to build, and I talked to Nathan about this a little bit today, I think that there's 2 options there, right? You could make a kind of another right turn lane, because that, if you're going northbound, that lane is pretty wide. Otherwise, I think if you built out the peak of that triangle, which is land we already owned, if we built that out and tightened that up to make that just a cleaner, more traditional 4-way stop, if that makes sense of what I'm saying. Because there is, we measured it out today, I think it's like, that, it doesn't look it on that map, but the lane width on Nash, I think is about 75 feet, the full is about 75 feet, and the one on Oak Street is about 20 feet narrower, so it's a little bit more of a traditional roadway. The one on Nash, it needs to be tightened up, because as you're going north, if we were to plant a stop sign at the peak of that triangle, you're not, I don't think you're gonna really notice it. We've gotta get it out. We've gotta either build that intersection out a little bit into the roadway, or we need to do like a turn lane or something there. That's what would make probably the most amount of sense to those that I talk to. I think the 2-lane, or the 2-way stop is an interesting conversation, but the only thing with that is, I think with it being in proximity to the school and the crosswalks there, I'd be concerned that lane of, or the roadway that doesn't have the stop is just gonna increase speeds. And also, we're gonna have to factor in bus pickup drop off in the morning, and then, you know, if it's one way or the other way, are those buses gonna be able to get out at a high traffic time? You know, are they gonna be where 4-way kind of keeps everybody moving in the intersection? So, those were the recommendations I got. And you know, when I talk about that data, we talked about it last time, that doesn't account for even probably, it's like a tiny percentage of the near misses there. I think we've all encountered that, and those don't show up in the data, right? So, you know, we see that frequently. You hear it from the officers, you hear it from the community. I mean, this is and it was good to see that long-term, as I looked at that was the #1 long-term resolution from the county, was a 4-way stop. So I feel like there's some agreement there.
What steps would we have to take, other than obviously requesting it from the county, but infrastructure-wise, what would we probably need to get some sort of engineering or something done?
The county would probably require it. I think it's probably not a bad idea to have that be done. Realistically, you're probably just talking extending curb out, and then bringing a fill and extending our island is kind of what we've talked about as an option. If you extend our little island that we have at the end, I don't know if it shows it in here, it's kind of small, but if you extend that out into the roadway, you'll be able to put a stop sign kind of in that area, and it'll work better. I think having the county probably come up with probably what the best solution would be engineered out, and they might have a little tweak here and there, option-wise, but that's probably what we're looking at.
So on the agenda, we have discussion and possible action. So we're discussing it, and if we choose to do that, we could make that sort of action tonight to.
You just have staff pursue the county to potentially move forward on this as a 4-way stop.
So I don't know, I'm sure you guys we've all had this accident.
So you want a formal motion?
It's not necessary. I think it's something we can just bring up to the county. I think their staff seemed open to it. They didn't really want to give a comment either way. They just kind of said the study, because he couldn't remember necessarily the study, so because he's, I think, been doing a ton of these lately in different areas. But he's like, yeah, I'd probably say the study, but if you guys want something different, I would propose, I think because the management's changed too, is there might be some new ideas of some of the stuff, so.
I think the biggest concern I have is like the crosswalk. Like if you're crossing Nash Street, like from the cemetery towards the school, I mean, that crosswalk is further back, and I'd be curious how they would engineer that so that it's,
I don't know if they would change it.
well, that was one of the things in here, is that if you moved it, then, like, you normally would have a stop sign prior to that crosswalk type of thing. And that would mean that the stop sign would be so much, like, you can kind of see where that little path is there. I would imagine that the stop sign would be further into the intersection.
Past the crosswalk.
Yeah, so that's my big, I don't know, something's gotta be done with that intersection,
Right.
it's bad.
I think we all.
Sooner than later.
Okay.
So it's a head nod from everyone,
Yeah.
correct? Okay. B, discussion and possible action on John Street Fountain Court Project Pay Application Number 2.
This is the second pay application for the Fountain Court and John Street projects. They are completed. They're holding a little bit of retainage back just to make sure that everything grows in, things like that. But went over it with the engineer, everything looks good. We're actually under what the estimated budget was, so didn't have to use as much materials as was previously planned, so got a little bit of a price break on that. It would be the $143,181
Is that to MSA or Northeast Asphalt?
Northeast Asphalt.
Any questions? We would need a motion otherwise.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment to Northeast Asphalt in the amount of $143,100.81.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on date for Public Works Committee meeting.
We got some agenda items that need to go to a Public Works Committee meeting. And then Nathan thought it might be easiest if, while you guys are all here, if there was a date on your schedule that worked well for you. The only day that I couldn't do it would be Monday, October 20th. I'll be out. Other than that, any other day works for me.
And then Shauna, Bob, Carrie, and Julie are on that committee.
Library board meets on the 20th, so that if you're out, that doesn't work for me either, so. Other than that, should be good.
What about doing it right before a board meeting, like the 16th or November 6th? I don't know, is there a time constraint on this at all?
No, I think an hour would be plenty.
I mean, just that way, I mean, like, I know I reserve these nights.
16th at 5 o'clock work.
Shauna?
That's fine.
Okay, so the 16th of October before the board meeting at 5. Okay, discussion and possible action on conceptual design contract for Alonzo Park Shelter.
So I had asked some questions regarding this, and we pushed this to public facilities. We did meet. Really, the design itself is, or getting this done with this architecture company. There was some feedback during the meeting where we talked about maybe using the current existing bathrooms as storage, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Nathan and Aaron. And then the committee talked about maybe still utilizing those bathrooms. And the design that we'd be paying for is really more for that warming kitchen and pavilion design. Some of the things that came out of the meeting was it would be nice if the bathroom entry would be visible to the park and to the splash pad area instead of turning it facing the east, where parents wouldn't be able to see their young ones go to the bathroom. But I don't know, you guys were in that meeting as well. If there's input, I mean,
I think the bathrooms were gonna be family style, I think, and
Yeah.
then keep the original bathrooms as it is right now.
Yeah,
Was kind of the idea, so that it's like a single stall family style.
yeah. And then
Two of
what
those.
would be in that warming kitchen area, the bathrooms, there would be more of a family, like larger family style bathrooms, which would also be handicapped, which would be ADA compliant. And then, storage was sort of an issue because we're not really 100% sure with the splash pad equipment, what we're doing with that over winter. So that was, and not that that's about this architecture contract, but I think that was the reason why we were looking at maybe repurposing the existing bathrooms, but we might have a way of keeping the bathrooms.
Yeah, I don't think with the need for storage isn't that big anymore. Usually we were trying to potentially think further ahead, but yeah.
Wasn't there gonna be a room for storage, like, on the inside that fit, like, instead of having that all be bathrooms, have like the two family rooms and then that little storage room right in the pavilion?
We
Wasn't that
have
one
a
of them?
storage room in the original bathrooms right now. There might be a small closet that we would put on the pavilion so that when you rent
Yeah.
it, you get a key to that. And the other one wouldn't have a key to, because it'll probably have more of our public works equipment stuff, not that trash bags, bathroom utensils and stuff.
I think that was about it, I think that was.
And yeah, it was, there wasn't a lot of change, it was just
Right.
clarifying
Mm.
and looking at the additional property that's there and that it's wetlands and there's really not a lot we can do with it.
And this is just for conceptual options too, it's not like full-blown design or anything like that.
But I think it was worth going back and just looking at that full design and just seeing if we're covering our bases and kind of, yeah.
So then basically you just need a motion to go ahead with this?
Yep.
And if I remember right, wasn't it the 4,500?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will make a motion to proceed with the owner architect agreement with Thrive Architects, the amount of $4,500 for Alonzo Park. One second.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. E, discussion and possible action on TID 6 loan for Terrace Manor Developers Agreement.
So this is basically the finishing out of our developers agreement. We're doing a loan for about $215,007. That will cover the purchase of the property, the outlot, the estimated cost in there. There's about $75,000 from that that's going to be utilized for urbanization in the south side of Grandview Road and sidewalk installation there. And then the park fees that are owed to the village from the subdivision, that was part of the developer's agreement that the TID was gonna pay the village for. And then some for seeding the pond is what we did. It was about $18,000 for the pond to seed it with the seed that we need it to be, so that we can start with our, basically our retention pond off in the right direction, so that we're not having to come back years later and spend the money. So then going forward, the fee for that would be around a few $1,000s for us to maintain in perpetuity. So
So when you say urbanization, so that's the sidewalk, does that include any of that concrete work? Like Craig was here last week, or last meeting, talking about, so is anything being done?
no.
No, that's not
That,
this.
so there's two or three different We Energies issues over there that are all different contracts. The stuff that was done by our stuff that we had with Parker's, that asphalt on Nash Street is a different contractor. It's not ours. So We Energies does all the asphalt stuff near that area and all the curb too. They do have plans, as they've told us, to come back and refix those. But with any utility for We Energies, it's usually at their own pace. So we usually have to hound them a little bit, but it gets done always. So fine.
thank you. I just
Yeah.
wanted to
No,
know if that was part of this.
No.
Okay, all right.
The sidewalk, you're gonna put in the sidewalk over in front of the,
So it's where it ends now, on Nash Street, it like ends at the corner. We're extending it basically into, by the subdivision and then in a little bit on our parcel, and then it stops.
okay. Is there anybody, or any of the residents gonna be getting sidewalk that didn't have sidewalk before?
No.
No, okay.
It's
I
only
just
on,
wasn't sure if there was
No.
a lot between there that didn't have a sidewalk.
no,
Isn't there that one property, she came here one night and talked to us, didn't she? Like, doesn't she own some of that? Because she was asking if she needed to shovel that whole sidewalk, so it is, and we're not, are we assessing or looking at?
the sidewalk ends at her property
Oh,
line, I believe, may
Okay.
be extended a little bit, but, I mean,
okay. Just addressing another, because she had come and.
we're not
asked
planning
about
on
that.
assessing any of it, it's all part of the TID paying for it, it's being installed to assess someone for not even it'd probably be 2 panels maybe,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So you put a sidewalk in front of a housing complex like that, who has to maintain it?
So the owner of the property would, basically, so we're the owner of the property,
It's
so
on our
we're,
whole lot.
yeah.
It's on our own, okay, so
Our guys went to
you have to go out there and shovel snow. Okay, but is there any of it that runs across? None of the other, okay, okay,
No, not a single one, so,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we would need a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the, let's look at the TID 6 loan for Terrace Manor, developers in the amount of $215,007.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 10, report of village officials. A, clerk treasurer, Jane.
My report was in the packet.
I just have one question. What is the Smart Procure?
It's a company that asks me every couple of months, maybe 6 months, for all of our purchasing. They want basically an invoice listing of what we paid. I think they ask a lot of different communities so I just take it right out of Excel and just send it off to them.
Okay.
Yeah, the check date, what it was for, who it was issued to.
Okay. Anyone else have questions for Jane? Okay, we'll go to Director of Public Works, Aaron.
My report was in the packet, and we will be turning off the water for the splash pad tomorrow, so we'll be shut down for the winter.
I know, that's what I said.
Yeah,
It's
tell
gonna
them.
We had it planned out a month ago. I didn't expect it to be 80 degrees in October.
There's no way to extend it past this weekend.
We have,
People are gonna be showing up.
I know, we have a guy come in that comes from out of town to blow everything out and get everything winterized.
So who do they call when they show up and there's no water?
We posted that it would be closed on the first, so we get a couple extra days.
Someone will call.
Okay.
All good things must come to a seasonal end, I mean,
Yeah.
that's it.
Any other questions for Aaron? Okay, we'll go to C, Police Chief Brian.
Reports in the packets. One thing I did want to update the board on, if you've noticed in my packets, there's been some bullets about updating some of our computers for some Spillman, which is our record management system through the county. A couple months ago, they reached out to us and said that they were going to be doing an update in October, that it may impact some computers that didn't have the newest Windows version of 11. We realized that we had some older computers, but that initial made me feel like, let's just see where this is going to end up with that update. What I learned more in September or late September here is that Windows 10 is not going to be supported anymore, which means that CGIS, which is like our security laws, aren't going to recognize Windows 10 as a compatible program to be within the confines of the rules for CGIS. So we have a number of computers that will have to get upgraded, which I do have reserve funds available to upgrade those computers that need to be one thing I did find a positive through this is that, you know, doing an audit of our computers, found some computers that we're not using and we're paying for service on, so being able to eliminate some of those will help offset some costs, but just something that it's technology and, you know, they're saying unless you do this, and October 14th I think is the date where Windows 10 is no longer, it's supported, there's patches, but they're saying that the security laws, we wouldn't be in compliance based on the security laws that are out there with Windows 10, so it's kind of an unseen cost that's come up, but we have the reserve funds to take care of it, so. But just something that you'll probably see in the near future from me, have to replace some of those things, so.
Does that take into account the program to extend the updates?
Yeah, so there's the patch that's coming out. October 14th is kind of the date that they've said the CGIS rules will no, like the security laws will not find Windows 10 to be in compliance. However, Windows 10 still has some life in it, right? You can get patches, you can extend it out. The issue is that there's a cost associated with just doing that, and then we're not within CGIS compliance after October 14th. So like by law, we have to update them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, initially I thought, because it was our squad computers are all Windows 11, so those aren't impacted at all. It's our office computers, and I thought, you know, if they're just glitchy, you know, that's less concerning in the office than obviously our squad computers. Let's see how that pans out. But then after finding out that we're not going to be CGIS compliance, that puts us in a predicament of any computer that uses Spillman, which is that program we use, has to be Windows 11. So.
Any other questions for Brian?
But as far as the computer stuff for everything else, for every other department, Windows 10 Microsoft announced that they announced that you can continue the updates for Windows 10 machines is $30. So that's another option for going forward. They haven't released updates to Windows 10 in 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, all the updates have been third-party updates anyway. So all they're going to do is just continue to extend those for another year for $30 per machine. So if you have a machine and you're considering updating it, unless you end up in a situation where you're out of compliance and you're required to change it, Windows 10 is still functional. It's still going to be functional for every basic program that you're going to run. And if you wanted to pay for the updates, you could. But like I said, Microsoft hasn't released a major update to Windows 10, like a security update, for 2.5 years now.
Well, and when this initially came out, that's what I was hopeful for, was that we were going to be able to continue with Windows 10 and just pay for the updates. But then they came back and said, yeah, but it puts you out of compliance with this, and so now you have to do it in order to continue to run this system.
Yeah.
And so I think there was probably more planning ahead of time in other departments, but we found this out in August, and like I said, I thought, well, we can run the updates, but now they're telling us, well, if you want to run our system, then you got to have this. So hopefully we'll be good for some years. Yeah. So technology.
Okay, we'll move to D, Library Director Ally, and her report is in the packet. E, Attorney Ashley.
Actually, assuming my vacation that we have planned doesn't get moved, you'll have another attorney here for your next meeting. So Chuck Adams will be here to introduce himself. I don't think he's been to any of your meetings quite yet. So you'll have a new face next time.
Okay. Any questions for Ashley? Okay, we'll go to F, Administrator Nathan.
My report's in the packet. The main thing kind of working on most of this week is the debt and trying to fit all of our projects for the next few years into that structure, which we've been working with our finance directors on, or finance people on. So that's just trying to fit it all and trying to figure out how much of the TID funds we can use to reduce some of the costs, and then if our CIP, the way we have it set up currently, how we can do that without necessarily having to make big jumps in loans or anything like that. So, but I think after after our phone calls, we are very close on getting it where we should be pretty good, as long as nothing strange happens. We should be pretty good for a lot of the downtown projects, so, Main Street itself.
And then, you said you're working on reviews. When do we wanna schedule your review?
Oh, yeah. Whenever you guys want, I can fill up the information.
Okay, we should probably do it sooner than later, since budget's
Yeah.
coming,
When did we do it last year?
right before budget.
I think it was around October, November.
Maybe add it into like one of the meetings, like after like a.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was November.
we filled out
Yeah.
all the stuff, and it went to Ashley, and then she compiles it, and then, we discuss it in closed session.
Yeah, we can do that I can get that out to you maybe after this meeting and then have it due.
Scheduled for the first meeting in November?
Yeah, but have it due probably by the next meeting, so that gives her some time to combine it all.
There goes her vacation.
What's that?
There goes your vacation. You got paperwork now?
So you'll send us out the form?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Nathan? Okay, we'll go to G, building permit report, there are none in the packet. H, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? Anyone? Okay. 11, communication and miscellaneous business, Blackwater Lake District News, Bob?
My report is in a handout here, everybody should have got. We have a correction on that, and that's the next meeting date. It's listed as the 20th of October, but again, that's not gonna work out because of the library meeting, I guess, here, so. The 10th of November is next meeting date at 5 o'clock here.
Okay,
Which culverts are you looking to replace?
I'm sorry.
Says you're looking to replace culverts on the trail. The ones just got replaced.
I think those are the closest ones.
There's two sets, so one of them got replaced because they failed, and there's another set further down on Lima Street.
Okay.
any other questions? Okay, we'll go to B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News.
No new news, but we are having, the quarterly meeting is this coming Wednesday at the firehouse. The agenda is basically the same as it always is, budget and calls, and, the only other thing of note on the agenda is talking about repairs to the, parking lot at the fire department.
Okay, any questions for Jim? Okay, we'll go to C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, there's none in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association, Jane?
Nothing new?
And E, Senior Activities,
Nothing new.
okay. 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present, are there any? Okay. And 13, I need a motion to appoint a minute taker for closed session.
I think Jane will be here actually.
Pardon?
Jane will be here actually.
Oh, so that shouldn't have been in there?
Yeah.
Oh, well then we'll have Jane. 14, I would need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session, state statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically employee certification pay.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. 15, we would need 5 minutes recess to clear the meeting room. Any action on matters discussed in closed session? There's none. And 19, I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6:59.